Live in the corner.
All right. Let's see.
6 seconds. It's a 10-second delay.
So they're just seeing this whole time, and we're wondering if we're live. There you
Are
go.
we live?
And we are live.
Maybe.
Is it on?
We are live. Confirmed.
Cool. So let me shoot the microphone over here. We're back. Part 2, take 2 of the August Hangout. The August Patreon Hangout, which obviously if you were here last week didn't work. And this time it's working. We have a new interface. It's exciting. And people are saying they can see it, so that's good.
That's great. Hey, you just want it to work, and now it's working. And so
I'm sweating a lot less this weekend.
Oh, good.
Ron looks like he wants to murder people less, and
a little bit.
I'm drinking less alcohol after. I had a couple of drinks after last week's blow up.
I'm sure you did. I forgot to plug in my laptop, so I'm going to step away and let you guys start this up while I go get my plug.
Josh?
Yeah.
How's the Northeast? Are you melting?
No, it's delightful. It's in the 50s right now.
Well, that's good.
The last 2 days have been perfect. Like, no humidity, mid 70s at most.
That's amazing. It's hot here.
It's the best thing ever. Oh, look at it. It's a running time count that we have now that we didn't used to have.
Yeah, there's a lot of new interface stuff here. So, yeah, I mean, it's really boring, but basically some things changed in our YouTube setup that made it no longer possible. We found a new system. We'll use this going forward. So, Ron,
I'm back.
You had a busy week.
I did. I had a busy weekend.
How were you working all week on a D23?
I was working all weekend related to the D23 Expo from Anaheim, California, the ultimate fan event for Disney fans. Lots of Marvel news, everyone. Lots of Marvel news coming out of D23. Where do you want to start? We can give you the reporter's view of it. Pick a area of the world. You got TV, movies, comics.
You're not really a reporter.
No, but
he's a managing editor.
I am managing editor.
Yeah, but for the company who's making the news, he's PR.
It's a
no, but it's fine. It all happened.
What was the best work you did this weekend? What was the thing that you were like, really, we got through that and we succeeded?
Friday night's Disney Plus new Marvel Studios show announcements. That actually went very smoothly. So I was very pleased.
So
with
what was the challenge? What did you have to do to make sure that all worked?
Just a lot of coordination, a lot of talking to people in Anaheim, talking to people in New York, just making sure all the pieces were in place. And so that when the stuff happened, it also happened on social media, on the website, on the Marvel's website, everything, and make sure it all happened. So
nice.
But yeah. So yeah, they Disney Plus was a big topic at the D23 conference because Disney Plus, the new streaming service from the Walt Disney Company, will be launching on November 12th. In case you weren't aware.
At what point will those shows start to show up on Netflix, or is that not?
No, never.
I know.
So yeah,
a lot of shows got announced.
Only 3 shows got announced, but there's a lot
of shows.
So there is already that's been announced and that was touched upon at D23 was Falcon and Winter Soldier, which picks up from the end of Endgame and the adventures of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon
Cap and Bucky. Yeah. Then there's WandaVision, which they talked about at D23 as well, which is blending the classic sitcoms of Dick Van Dyke with the Marvel Universe. That's the log line.
You gotta take some risks.
Paul Bettany back as the Vision. Paul Bettany's wonderful.
Real quick though. What's the sweater status on that? Was there any
unknown
tease? Okay, well, I think we all know.
He had a sweater or a sweater, not a sweater, but like that kind of outfit in the teaser image.
Yeah, but that's just a teaser image. That's just yeah. But
well, I mean, you gotta set the course somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So you got WandaVision, and then Loki, which is gonna pick up the Adventures of Loki after he blinks away with the Tesseract in Endgame, which should be fun. And then they also, oh man, now I'm forgetting what else there is. What If, which is the animated series, which is going to explore alternate.
Do you know if that's like based on the comics or all new original stuff?
Nah, I don't know exactly what it is, but the fact that it's based out of the MCU just kind of eliminates it from the comics. Like they're not going to do What If Wolverine became a vampire.
Right, so or MCU related What If stuff.
So like the one that they talked about at D23, which is public knowledge, which is Haley Atwell came back to reprise her role as Agent Carter, and it's What If Steve Rogers never became Captain America, instead she becomes Captain Carter, and she has a shield with the British flag on it, and so it should be fun, but animated. I feel like there's one more in there that I'm forgetting, but then announced today, not announced on Friday at D23 was Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk. So,
I mean, are these all? I guess I don't really. It doesn't matter. Are they also half-hour-ish, hour-ish?
No idea. Couldn't tell you. All I know is that I saw an interview with the writer or director of Loki, and they said they're so excited to spend 6 more hours with the character. So I assume that's 6 episodes, 1 hour maybe, but who knows? They said 6 hours. So, and
we also don't know if these are like Netflix where they all come out, or if it's like Hulu or whatever, they come out once a week.
I heard rumblings coming out of D23 about Disney Plus saying that shows would be released weekly, so not dropping them all at once, but unknown if that means all shows or just some shows. Like I don't know what the release schedule rules are yet for the platform. So
it's basically starting a new TV network then. Like in that way, you have to sort of schedule and make sure there's always something to fill it. That's really
well, you guys know my opinion on this, but it was always going to come back around to the old model.
Yeah. No, I know, but has there ever been, since all this original programming started up, has there ever been anything that is started as a streaming service for that?
Oh, Hawkeye! I forgot. Thank you, Matt, in the chat room. Hawkeye was the other show that was announced.
Yeah, so Netflix turned into. It was the DVD service, and then it was streaming. But then the original programming came along later. Same with Hulu.
Yeah.
Is this the first time that it is that from the get-go? Is that the first one of those? I guess Amazon Prime.
But Amazon Prime does both, doesn't it?
I can't remember if they originally had original programming.
No, they didn't.
No, so
yeah, none of them have originally had original programming, but it's a different world now.
This is second gen, so Warner will launch with original shows as well as old shows, and Disney will too.
I guess CBS did.
CBS All Access launched with original shows.
Yeah.
They'd be the first one.
What's do we know the cost for Disney Plus?
Your very soul.
It is $6.99 per month to start.
Oh, to start.
Yeah.
So like a cable company?
Who knows? But I do know I do know that they had a offer for people attending D23 to sign up for 3 years for $140, which is
140 divided by 36.
140 divided by 36. Yeah, what is that?
We all go to our calculators because none of us are math.
$389 a month.
That's not bad. So.
$6.99 a month, kind of. I mean, if that's all that content, that's cheap.
Yeah. Did they announce what HBO Max is going to cost? They haven't announced that yet, have they?
No, and I'm not sure they're done announcing with that because the assumption is that they're going to roll everything. Like eventually, DC Universe will roll into that as well.
Right. Although that's the assumption, but didn't Jim Lee say that wasn't happening, or did Dio say that wasn't happening, or
you can't trust whatever they say.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough.
Connor got old school. He's like, come on, better than that.
But I paid for DC Universe a year ahead for a year, and I got it at a discounted rate. I think it's a good model for.
What do you get? Like, I don't know nothing. Like, what is the how much programming goes along with that?
They have 3 original live action shows. They have Titans, Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing. They're adding Stargirl, and then there's the Young Justice cartoon that's original. They did a new season that says 4 original shows. And then they've got all their back catalog of movies and animated series. There's a ton of DC animated series, and they're all on there. You can also read comics through. I've never tried it, never done it, but I mean, I guess on my iPad it would make more sense than my TV. But there's a ton of comics, and they also produce that weekly show that Sam Humphries is one of the co-hosts of, that DC behind the scenes show,
DC Live or whatever it is. Yeah.
I only watched it once because one episode did a whole thing about Darwin. So I watched that.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I remember Marsha talking about them coming up there.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a good amount. It's a stupid amount of original programming for the amount of return they must be getting on it.
I wonder how it's going.
Well, they already canceled Swamp Thing. Titans got renewed. I don't know what else. So that's a good question. Is there any R-rated content on Disney Plus?
I do not know. The assumption is that there is not, because
with Disney in the name.
Exactly. And then also, given the coming off the Fox deal, with now Disney being the majority stakeholder in Hulu, the thought is that any R-rated stuff will be routed towards Hulu, but I have not heard anything about that or seen anything in the trades or anything like that. So
which is fine.
Not be on it?
What was that?
Is Deadpool not going to be on it?
No, I don't know. I don't know what films will be on
I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, I do not know.
It's okay. It's okay to have a
family-friendly
platform, and I mean, Apple will be the same way. We all know Apple's weirdo, restrictive morality stuff, and they've already said that Apple's TV shows are not going to be that edgy. I think Apple's going to be a fucking disaster.
Oh, agreed. After the first wave of original content they released, just through iTunes or whatever the hell, or Apple TV or whatever the crap, I heard that it was all garbage.
Apple's too creatively tight. You know what I mean? There's that the stuff that makes them so good at making hardware is bad for creativity.
Well, there's something to be said about the Tim Cook regime at Apple straying so far from the Steve Jobs era, and not in a good way at all.
No, absolutely. Mike Roman, I talk about this all the time back when we shared an office, is that he's a long time out. He used to go to those things that Steve Jobs do the presentation. He used to go to the keynotes. Yeah. It's unrecognizable from an ethos standpoint.
Yeah.
And the products aren't as good as they used to be.
No, they're not. They truly are not. So it's sad, but it's hard to maintain. I mean, part of it is if Steve Jobs was around now, it's hard to speculate what he would do or whatever. But those early pre-iPhone keynotes, like the iPod, that era, like early 2000s going into the launch of the iPhone, that was a window of innovation. That was a time period of innovation that is not now at all. Yeah. Now if anything, now is a time of commoditization and
iteration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was funny because I was talking to a friend of mine about just the Disney Plus, when Disney Plus launched launched their social handles, and there was that whole Twitter thread with all the different brands talking, and somebody sent it to me and we were talking about it. And so I was like, well, how do you feel about it? I said, well, in 11th grade, I wrote a paper about how entertainment was being commoditized by conglomerates in Hollywood and theorized that how that would erode creativity. I said, I really wish 17-year-old me wasn't right about this stuff, but
I mean, it's doing both. It's a boon for creativity in some senses, because there's a lot more content. There's a lot more opportunity for people, for all the hand-wringing people did about the shows that Netflix canceled. There's a lot more people getting to make TV shows that never got to make them before. But they're going to eventually hit that wall of Netflix is not the same place it was 3 years ago in terms of making shows. I know people who have shows on Netflix. It's like every other network now. They've hired executives who give just as many stupid notes as ABC does. Yeah, and it wasn't that way 3 years ago. They had no notes 3 years ago.
But the thing is also, everybody reacting to the cancellations at Netflix don't realize that, what I think is just so funny is that every time a comic book gets canceled, or every time a TV show gets canceled, or whatever, something that you like goes away, there's always that shocked, indignant disagreement, and wishing it will be saved and go to another network, whatever. And a lot of times people realize there's especially Netflix and Amazon are probably the two biggest culprits of this, is that at least at HBO or NBC or at other kind of traditional networks, an executive's gut can keep a show longer going. Like today, Seinfeld would have launched on Netflix or Amazon and been canceled after one season because nobody watched. It's all numbers based. It's all performance.
The numbers are more accurate now than they've ever been. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Networks they were guessing at it. It was, Nielsen is just an estimate.
It's a bloodless algorithm, but what you lose in that is a network executive who says, no, this is a good show and deserves to find an audience.
I mean, what's
you don't get anymore. Really, I mean, there's been a couple of shows where Sarandos has said like, I really like this show, but a lot of and also, the tech model is almost very similar to the animation model in that they're like, 3 seasons is enough for any show.
Yeah.
I'm actually mostly fine with that. I mean,
that mirrors the theory that any band is really only good for 3 albums, and after that, it's just the
other thing, like if I watch a series now, and I see that it has 8 episodes, I'm like, okay, good. 12 episodes, I'm like, well, you're pushing it. More than that is insane. We did 22, 23 episode series. That's crazy.
Yeah,
not in a good way. Like,
we're veering wildly off topic. Let's talk about some of the other non-Marvel announcements. So, did we all watch the Mandalorian trailer?
We did.
I did actually. Yeah.
Thoughts? I watched it.
No good to me dead. My question is this is a very basic question. Is this Boba Fett or is this a different Mandalorian?
No, it's a different Mandalorian. I saw at least 2 Mandalorians in that trailer. I did like how there's a Mandalorian who's got the coloring of Boba Fett from the cartoon from the holiday special, the original coloring.
Yes, and he had the weapon too.
Yeah, but my sense was that these are not Boba Fett because Boba Fett is very specific looking, and these guys didn't look like Boba Fett. I don't know. I went into this kind of dubious, and I was very impressed by it. I thought that is something I will watch easily.
I can play the layman because I don't pay attention. But the thing that I saw was that there's a lot of real time effects that are happening. Like they're filming stuff and it's all sort of paced.
The virtual set,
Yeah, I heard that, and I was watching it. I was like, it looks pretty amazing.
Yeah,
like it looks like a very expensive program, and it's not. Or
it looks like what George wanted to do in 2000, but didn't have the technology to do. You know
what was the quote that Favreau said? Like, what or somebody said like, why is JJ going to Tunisia? Yeah, like about JJ Abrams shooting like in real places. Like,
that was the interviewer. I said, why is JJ going to Tunisia? I mean, I'm still a fan of going to the place and using practical effects when possible and practical creatures, but it's getting better every year. It's hard to deny that.
Yeah, but I can't think of the last time I saw a movie that was like when we saw the Nolan Batman movies or anything. We're like, oh, it's real, and it made a real difference.
I think there's a part of your brain that just realizes it's real. You know what I mean?
However, it's much more infrequent now that you'll watch a movie and be able to sort of pick out by the visual alone.
Yes, agreed. Yeah,
what it used to be.
Well, I was watching
up until 10 years ago. It was very easy to go. That part's fake. That part's not. I just we saw The Lion King, and I was like, shit, that looks good.
Oh, I was watching. My cousin was talking about. There's some YouTube series by VFX artists watch bad CGI, and it's basically like having people who make VFX watch other movies and critique it or whatever. And they were analyzing. They were talking about. I was watching the Marvel episode, and they were talking about Infinity War and Endgame, and they were talking about how Thanos doesn't exist. Like it's completely like the person is completely made, and going into the intricacies of doing that. Like there's one close up of Thanos on the planet in Infinity War where he fights Iron Man or whatever, and the sun is coming from the left, and the sun, and so he's kind of in shadow on the right, but on the left he's got sunlight coming in, and his stubble is refracting the light. Mm-hmm. And they're just like like that level of detail, like it brings the realism to the point where you really have to question whether or not someone is real or not because it's going to that level of detail.
But Thanos was terrific from a CG standpoint.
Yeah, it was a lot better than Grand Moff Tarkin.
But they've come a long way. But the funny thing is going back to the Mandalorian and the fact that they use virtual sets, which are, I've heard a little bit about the technology and how they work. It's supposed to be freaking amazing. But it's like I was watching that trailer and I was thinking about the virtual sets and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm distracted by IG-88, like that I know doesn't exist, right? And like
and I've been waiting for that since Super Star Wars.
That was awesome.
Or Super Empire Strikes Back, where we all learned that IG-88 is the most badass character. There's a lot of people who are going to tell you that Boba Fett's the guy. We know the truth. It's IG-88. He's the scariest one out there.
I'm more of a Dengar guy.
Yeah, But it comes down to the two of those guys. You know, Dengar's over the hill. He's out there doing the best he can.
Dengar's the Gil of bounty hunters.
I was gonna say no. He's the Danny Glover.
No, he's Gil.
No, he's the Danny Glover. He's like, I thought I was done with it, and he's effective, but his heart's not in it anymore.
Yeah.
So
I like Gil better. Oh, if I could just have this one bounty, things will really turn around. I'll get 20 credits.
The thing that one of the things we've talked about,
I was a swoop pilot
in the past, is that fans really want a darker, hard-edged Star Wars, and it's not. That's not inherently what the property is. However, apparently this show is a darker, hard-edged Star Wars. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it. I got a sense that it was more like a Western almost.
It is. That's what he's talking about. But he's also said it's a darker. You know,
a Western gives it sort of a cartooniness that I think would make it work with that. The thing is, I didn't like when I saw Rogue One. I didn't love it. Like I was like, oh, this is what everyone's been asking for, and I was like, yeah, it turns out I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if there's a way to make it fun, because to me, Rogue One wasn't all that much fun. Whereas Rogue
One won me over the moment Gold Leader flew in.
Mm-hmm.
That I was just like, oh, that because I never even thought about doing that, and I'm like, that is genius.
It's not bad. I just was like,
but I will tell you when Rogue One lost me, the Borgullet.
You know Rogue One a lot better than I.
I don't even know what that means. I saw it one time.
I saw it one time too, but I want to revisit it. But yeah, no, that's the big thing that came and read the Imperial.
Stupid.
So stupid. This is my big complaint about Star Wars, and I hope The Mandalorian doesn't fall prey to this. And I don't think it will, because the more and more I think about Jon Favreau as a filmmaker and as a creator, he's really good. Mm-hmm. But the trap that people fall into in Star Wars is the need to replicate in some way what Lucas did. And so like, okay, we need a monster here, or we need, and just do your own thing. Like that's all I want to see out of
that's the thing about Jon Favreau though, is that I've seen him way on either side of that. Like you say, do your own thing. He just did The Lion King. It was the most not your own thing I've ever seen. It's exactly the same.
But he did it. Remake. But he did it with the animation in his own way. I don't know, whatever.
No. Like there was stuff in it that was good, but like Iron Man 1, wow, Iron Man 2, like he's or what?
Dude,
like,
speaking of Iron Man 1, I watched a YouTube video from GQ of Jeff Bridges talking about his career, and the section where he talks about Iron Man is hysterical because he's like, yeah, man, Downey asked me to do this thing, and there's no script. He's like, I think
I've heard him say that.
Yeah, he's like 2 days before we're supposed to start shooting, the Marvel calls us and like, yeah, you can't do any of this. And he's like, so every day Favreau and Johnny and Downey and are in my trailer, and we're just like making up scenes for the day. And it's like, I can't work like this. I need to know my lines. So then he's like, finally, I had to step back and realize that like, oh, I know what I'm doing. This is a student film. Just have fun. And like,
He's the best. He's the best.
At what point did he turn, by the way? Was it Lebowski? Because like when you think about when you think
publicly what he's always in private, which is a big ass stoner.
Yeah, well, not so much that. No. I think even more recently, he's more of a elderly, you know what I mean? Just kind of like out there. Like he seemed more sharp previously, and I feel like in the last 10 years he's gotten more kind of off center. And I don't think it's this. I don't think it's the Lebowski stoner side of it. But it's like
the Lebowski fallout.
Yeah,
I think that first of all, he's an actor, and so the most popular thing he ever did was this Lebowski thing, and I don't think he realizes it for a while. Then the conventions start and the whatever, and he thinks, you know what people like? I do like this.
Yeah,
and also maybe it's subconscious or whatever, and he's doing it too. But they said it was a lot of him. Those were his jelly shoes.
He's the thing, I know people who live in Santa Barbara. That is him.
It also just seems like he talks.
He is that guy.
He's got chewing tobacco in his mouth all the time.
So how do you feel about the Obi-Wan announcement?
Great.
Josh,
what was the Obi-Wan announcement?
They're doing Obi-Wan Kenobi series with Ewan McGregor.
I thought that wasn't confirmed. Then I thought I saw it was animated.
No, it's confirmed, and it's live. Yeah, Ewan was there, and it's live. It's also
it was rumored before the D23, and then he came to D23 to announce it.
And it's live action?
Yeah.
That could be cool.
I mean, we can all agree he
that
was one of
popped up in the chat room the moment that I said it.
Hello there.
Hello, little friend.
He's me.
Come, let us buy you a drink. The negotiations were short. I know. I still know every line from the Phantom Menace.
Well, you saw it 20 times.
10. Originally.
So, Josh? You have no interest in the Cassian Andor series? Then I assume.
I don't know what you just said.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
That's the guy guy who's in Narcos Mexico.
Yes,
the guy from Yo Mama También.
Right. That's a series.
A great actor. Both of those guys are great actors. Whenever I see them in something,
animated.
No, they're doing live action.
No, I mean also in addition to those, they're doing animated ones. I'm trying to look at the giant list of things.
Yeah,
there's some Ahsoka thing.
I saw the Ahsoka thing.
I mean, I felt like I remember that was the thing about Rogue One. I was like, I don't get this guy. Am I supposed to like him or what? Like, he was roguish. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
he was roguish. I love him as an actor.
Going back to the problems with Rogue One, my biggest problem with Rogue One was that what I love to do people is I find someone who likes Rogue One. See, how many times can I say Rogue One? I find people who like the movie, and then I go, great, name 5 characters.
You can't.
And they make it to 3 at best, and then they
wait, hold on.
Darth Maul.
Jaina
that was Solo. What is it?
Jaina Erso.
Nope, wrong. Last name's correct. First name's wrong.
Whatever. K2SO.
Correct.
The one you just said, who I can't remember now. Fuck. I didn't like it, so I'm not on the chopping block here. Samurai guy, blind samurai guy.
Doesn't count.
His name's got a bunch of consonants.
Droopy eye chewing gum guy from The Shield.
Yep.
I can't think of his name. He won an Oscar for playing Idi Amin.
Forrest Whitaker.
Right, but that's not his character's name. What's his character's name?
I don't know any characters' names though. Connor and I do a show every week, and we're like,
that guy.
Yeah, white guy.
Yeah, but
there were not a lot of. There was a black guy. There was. You know who was in it? Dr. Evazan. Krennic.
There you go.
I don't. So I guess the question is, I know Ron will obviously get Disney Plus. Josh, are you going to get Disney Plus?
$6.99. I could probably try that for a while. If I find I'm not ever watching it, then I'll get rid of it. But
do you know what the main selling point of The Mandalorian was? That trailer? The very first face you saw was Carl Weathers.
Yes, I thought about that.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, you got to
take a Crate Dragon Thibaut and you got soup, baby. Did he ruin his career by doing Arrested Development, which was also the greatest thing that he ever did?
Well, Rocky won best picture.
No, I know, but to a certain segment of people now, whenever you see him,
I told you guys, I was behind him in line at a Whole Foods in Venice, and he was haggling
coupons.
He was haggling because it was in the flower section.
How do you haggle in a supermarket line?
It was at the flower section for Valentine's Day, and he was haggling over the little, baby's breath they give you with the flowers. I think they wanted to charge him for it. And I was like, I cannot believe Carl was haggling.
No, I'm sorry, but they should not charge anyone for baby's breath.
I'm not his side. I'm just saying I could not believe I was behind him while he was haggling.
Yeah.
As pointed out in the chat room, Werner Herzog then closes the trailer. So you start with Carl Weathers, you end with Werner Herzog.
Yeah,
I heard him and I go, Werner Herzog, and so which led to a whole train of thought, which was, why is he doing this?
Money.
I guess I always had
this
idea that he was just this guy who could do whatever, but I think it's really funny that he's one of the most revolutionary filmmakers of our time, and he's like, I think I'm gonna be a character actor now because that's what people seem to want from me.
Seems easier. It was funny because going back to Favreau with the the Hollywood Reporter profile of him before D23, I think in the subhead referred to him as the successful director and actor from Swingers. And someone at work commented that the Hollywood Reporter writer is making a deep cut there and wants everyone to know to remember where Favreau came from. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Favreau wanting everybody to remember where he came from. Make sure you mention Swingers. All right.
That's really like, yeah, no, you're right. That's funny. And I think of him that way because it's the first time, but this is the first time we knew him, but
Yeah,
he's done a lot of very significant, much more significant things than that.
he's super nice though. We have a video. Actually, Ryan
I have no doubt.
interviewed him because he was just made into it. He was inducted as a Disney legend on Friday at D23, which is like Disney's Hall of Fame kind of thing. And Ryan interviewed him and said like, oh, when, like, how did you get into Marvel? And he just talked for like 5 minutes about Son of Origin books and like trying to draw like Kirby when he was 6 and like knew his stuff. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. He's cool.
That's
He's
cool.
It's interesting that
Swingers was a big movie for.
It was a huge movie for us. Yeah,
it was culturally a huge movie, and a lot of
yes, absolutely. It was a big movie for Vince Vaughn. Turns out
that whole cast, other than the one dude,
the black guy with the hat.
No, he was in other stuff. The one dude with the gun.
Oh right, yeah.
He never did anything else after that. Everybody else,
because he had a gigantic wallet chain in that movie. And it was weird.
Successful career. I was talking to somebody about it recently because for a long time there was a rumor that Doug Liman hadn't actually directed it. It was mostly Favreau, but as it turns out, Doug Liman's also a really talented director. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows who? But both those guys came out. They're both really good directors.
Yeah.
Heather,
but when he hits, he's done really well.
That's the thing about Swingers. I always forget that Favreau didn't direct it. Like I know he wrote it, but I always assumed he directed it. Yeah.
No,
Heather Graham is the Swingers.
He had Doug Liman before he was Doug Liman.
About that. Somebody who knew about that whole scene.
But Maid was garbage.
Maid was his Iron Man 2. It was letting the star
I know.
run
So like
wild.
for every good thing he does. Yeah.
It was the same thing. The star ran wild over. He didn't have any control over Vince Vaughn, seemingly. I just rewatched the second Jurassic Park over vacation and remembering that he got that out of Swingers because Spielberg had to approve the Jaws theme song, and he cast him out of watching the cut in his house.
There you go. Speaking of Jurassic Park, on Disney Plus, there will be a unscripted show hosted by Jeff Goldblum.
I saw that
in the Nat Geo section. It's The World According to Jeff Goldblum, and it's him traveling the world, being Jeff Goldblum.
I can't believe that doesn't already exist.
It does now.
It should have existed already.
The best thing I've ever seen still was David Duchovny doing. Was it? No, it wasn't him. Who did? It was like this SNL Jeopardy.
I think it was him.
Duchovny did Goldblum.
I think it was.
I just started to say it out loud, and I thought that can't be right.
Duchovny, as we know, Duchovny has secret talents.
It's true. He is one of the great underrated stars of our time.
Yeah, that's him. He's doing it. It's Duchovny.
And he did the one thing. There's just one bit. It wasn't even vocal. He just clicked the thing and he goes. Yeah, like he's impressed by his thumb work. I don't know where my thumb is on camera.
I can't share this, can I? I wish I could share an image.
You can share your screen.
I don't know what'll come up if I do that.
Constantly running porn.
Well, no, I have so many things open on them.
Is that Grant?
It's a very angry.
I'm gonna imagine when a Tesla gets stolen, it doesn't make that sound. So I think you're good. If it did, I'd be really disappointed.
He points at the hand and he goes.
Yeah, he does that, right? Yeah.
He goes like this and he points.
Which reminds me of Romo.
Yeah. Anything else from D22?
Let's see. So Friday was all the Disney Plus stuff. Okay, so quick Disney Plus stuff I remember. So all the Marvel stuff. There'll be a new Muppet Show, an unscripted Muppet Show.
What does that mean?
That sounds challenging.
Yeah, I think they're gonna parody reality shows. Is my guess. There's the Jeff Goldblum
not actually
show.
Unscripted.
Yeah. They're doing a live action movie of Lady and the Tramp. There's also a Christmas movie called Noel starring Bill Hader and Anna
Are
Kendrick.
These original movies?
Yes.
That'll only be on. Okay.
Yes. Yep. Foregoing the theater, just going right to Disney Plus.
Well, they really are trying to kill the cinema now.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, so I think a bunch of stuff, other stuff on Disney Plus, and then Saturday was the movies presentation. And so on the Marvel side, they announced Kit Harington joining the Eternals cast. So Jon Snow joined the Eternals cast. and they announced Black Panther 2. So that was good. They showed the poster for Star Wars. Did you see that, Josh?
Yes.
What did you think of the poster? How do you feel? So how do you feel about the Palpatine involvement in episode 9?
I haven't really done the math on it. I saw you say that, so I went back and looked at the poster. So that is Palpatine there, supposedly.
Yeah, up top. Yeah, and the trailer ends with his laugh.
He laughs at the end of the teaser, right?
Yeah, the teaser. Yeah.
So maybe he's not dead. Is that the idea? Like when he went down the vent and Vader tossed him down.
Do you remember in the prequels when he's talking to I don't know why Connor's dancing, but it's very distracting.
So just his elbow.
Yeah, just his elbow dancing. In episode 3, when he talked to Anakin about how you can become immortal through the Force or whatever, do you think that he's been alive this whole time?
I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
I gotta tell you, the only reason I know anything about the prequels at this point, other than the Phantom Menace, is because of the Star Wars Minute Facebook group. I've seen enough lines repeated now that I'm like, oh, that happens in that movie, but I don't know them.
All right, so here we go. Here's all the movie announcements. What's going on? Is it your car? Or?
No, there's just no. This is not where I park. But before you get into that, car alarms are so rare that like 4 or 5 people stumbled out into the street, like all looking at it like it was like a mastodon that had been brought out of the ice. And then some guy ran out, and he looked at it, and he was like, and then he ran back in the alley. I assume that was his car, and he went back to get the.
All right. All right. So the live action movies that were announced at D23. So Black Panther 2. They announced Kit Harington in the Eternals.
Black Knight.
Yep. Jungle Cruise.
Didn't you call that?
I did call it.
You did.
I guessed it. I don't know why he'd go back to a sword roll. I don't know why.
I was like, it's kind of way to really.
I mean, I would have thought any other hero, but to go back to a guy with a sword seems like a bad choice. I mean, I'm excited for it. I love Black Knight, but
it's boring.
Although, I know Ron is, but like, I am zero excited for the Eternals. Zero. I'm hoping it's good. I have no idea. I know.
It's very early. I think it's more than a year off. I think. Yeah. So anyway,
is there a script?
So they also talked about the Jungle Cruise movie. A bunch of Disney stuff, Cruella movie.
I'm sorry. Is the Black Knight part of the Eternals? It seems like
he's a non. They said he's a non-Eternal.
Right, but so that's not even normally part of the story. Black Knight's a Avengers.
Well, I have no idea. I can tell you what happens in the comics.
But
I'm just saying that Cersei is in the Eternals, was also an Avenger, and Black Knight was an Avenger and was in the Avengers at the same time as Cersei. So
we're inching closer to the Mark Gruenwald Avengers movie.
Cersei, Cersei Lannister, who
I'll just say this: Gemma Chan's playing Cersei, and I'm down for anything.
Yeah. All right, so Pixar announced the new movie. There's a movie called Soul next summer, which journeys from the streets of New York City to never before seen cosmic realms.
Who is that?
It's got Questlove, David Diggs, Jamie Foxx, and Tina Fey.
That's right, those two.
Yeah. And then
she's also known for her hip hop.
And then Onward, starring Tom Holland and Chris Pratt as 2 teenage elf brothers who embark on an extraordinary quest to discover if there's still magic left in the world.
Diversion.
Julie Louis-Dreyfus. So,
did you see Jamie Foxx on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
Yes, it's my favorite episode.
It was very funny.
Very good. I still say the best moment of this season was Matthew Broderick talking about the store they tried to go into where the guy wouldn't let him in, and he's like, that guy was talking like somebody in the 40s when the Nazis were in the building, going, "You don't want to come here. Come back later."
Really funny.
I was talking
not in a comedian way.
No, exactly. That's what I was talking about. He was casually like, your friends are funny, not like a performative funny.
Yeah, no, and I was like, and I'm looking at him, I go, this was the most popular teenager in the world.
And he looks like an old professor now.
I know. It was so
like some small college in the Northeast.
Yeah, I mean, it was a different kind of funny, but that bit, I was like, was really smart.
That bit was everything for me. That was so great. It's like,
come back later.
Come back later. It'll be fine later.
What was the show Who was the guest when they doing the China thing?
That was Ricky Gervais.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That was the best because the whole show became about whether or not they should say that or not. And I was like, "Oh, that's brilliant." And they're like, I'm gonna. He said at one point, like way into it, he goes, "I'm gonna cut this out."
The more I walk away from I watched every episode of that season, and knowing that this is it as far as the Netflix deal goes, I think he's done with it. We're not going to get any more comedians of Cars. Yeah, I think he closed the book on it because he ended the last episodes with the first guests from the first season, and they closed basically bookended it, so it's done. So, and you could tell because he was phoning it in for most of this season.
Jamie Foxx was surprisingly really funny.
Yeah, he was.
I forgot he was a stand-up.
He's in everything.
But like, in the same way that you forget Eddie Murphy was a stand, like you just forget. Oh, right, those guys also.
Whenever I look at Eddie Murphy, I'm like, what happened? Because I'm not gonna say that was the first thing, but that was when I got a hold of those videotapes and I was way too young. That made a huge impact. Everything else was disappointing.
They're still good. They're still relevant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's bits where you're like, but he's very funny and his outfits are terrible. But like, he's a good stand-up. But it's a different style. It's not like it seems like he's riffing or something. I don't know.
He talks about it in the interview. He was reaching the point where, like a lot of comedians, he didn't say anything funny. He didn't have to be legitimately funny. He just said a word and people started laughing. And
that was funny because Jamie Foxx had the same thing where he said, because when he did a set on Fallon and made a joke about pit bulls, he said the next day he got all these people. It's like you reach a level of fame and then you can't say anything. You can't be edgy anymore. You can't push boundaries because
that's a different thing. Is like the Steve Martin stopped doing stand up because he didn't have to actually tell jokes. He just had to make a face and everybody started laughing. He's like, well, this is boring for me.
So I was talking to somebody
at that point.
I was talking to somebody who went to see Jim Gaffigan, who I have to listen to all the time because finding comedians that my kids think is funny but also is not dirty is very difficult. So I'm very familiar with the Jim Gaffigan oeuvre. Apparently, somebody I know went to see him like recently, and at the end as an encore, he did his Hot Pockets bit. And I was like, ugh, why? Because that's what the people want to show up because they all know it. Which is so weird. I was like, it's not like a song, though.
It is. At a certain level hit that point. I mean, Dane Cook, for what he is, he mentioned the same thing. He at a certain point in his career, and he just had to he would do the setup, and even do the punchline.
Well, do you remember the comedian doc with Seinfeld?
Yeah.
He always said the thing, and it was kind of true. He goes, that lasts you for one laugh at the beginning, like in a comedy club, though. And then, then you've got to bring it because then it starts to get awkward.
Yeah.
Right.
And depending on your fame, like Chris Rock could get away with it probably longer, but.
Sorry, the Yankees are scoring again.
Let's be clear.
Is the chat room just dead? Or
no one's talking. People? No one's really. I think we're boring. People are watching. They're the same number of people are there.
Should we open this up to questions or something?
Sure. Well, I'm done? So sweaty. Can we tell how sweaty I am?
I'm pretty sweaty.
I'm chilling.
It did cool down here, luckily.
Was there anything else from D23?
Something there's an Avengers area.
So all the park stuff came out today. So for those of you who are into the amusement parks, they announced all the Avengers campus, which will be at Disneyland Paris and Disneyland California Adventure, which is gonna have a Spider-Man ride, a Ant-Man and the Wasp eatery, and there's gonna be an Avengers ride opening after later. It's to come later on. And then they also announced a major reimagining of Epcot, and that they're actually redoing the lands, they're rechanging, they're adding a whole bunch of new stuff. It's actually finally giving Epcot some love. So
before we get to, while we wait for questions to come in, Ron,
yes,
as a Disney fan,
yes,
and also as a Disney employee, so
yes,
this is dicey for you. Feel free not to answer.
Okay.
How do you feel about the IP taking over the traditional Disney characters in the park?
It's tough. Good question, Connor. Very good question.
I can wait. Hold before you go, because
Josh will tell everyone how I feel. Go ahead.
No, it's not that. My kids are not familiar with most of the original Disney stuff at this point because they don't care.
They don't play them,
right? And so there's a certain how long you're gonna. It's like comics. How long are you gonna keep making these 50-year-old people happy? Go ahead, sorry.
Which is fair. I mean, because this is a lot.
It's less a Disney park now. It's an IP park.
That's all it was. No. Okay, so
Disney characters. These are Star Wars characters.
No, hang on. the Disney parks are built on one thing, and that's story. Right. So whether the story is original IP that's developed for the attraction, because when they opened Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, they didn't have anything, so they make stuff up. That's why you got the Haunted Mansion and Pirates and Jungle Cruise and all stuff like that. But the same thought that's going into telling good stories through attractions for new IP is just being applied to existing IP. And there's a purist part of me that loves the Imagineering and then what they came up with and creating something out of nothing and doing something original. And I love that. And I think they still will have a piece of it, but you got to put butts in seats, right? And so, changing the Maelstrom in Norway to the Frozen ride is a little, groan-inducing, but it's also a great ride, and it's going to bring more people in. So but it is a balance. I
would say. Again, this is not, but from talking to Ron about why, and I remember I was like, why do you like it years ago? And we had a long conversation about it, and I learned a lot of things there. It was helpful. I'm not going through all that now, but I was cognizant of it when I was at the park, and I thought, well, the park experience is still what the park experience is, regardless of the fact that I'm in Toy Story Land or whatever. And, like walking around in the Animal Kingdom, like there actually wasn't a ton of IP there in the same way.
Yeah.
And I did think that was.
I mean, the whole thing about the parks is that it's the they call it show. It's the way that they run the parks and design them and do. If you drop somebody in a Six Flags and you drop somebody in a Disney, it's night and day. It's like flying first class and flying economy, and so that's what it's just the production value that goes into it. And I think, Connor, you're right. I think, there is a large influx of IP there, but a lot of the stuff they announced at Epcot wasn't today, that they announced today wasn't IP based. It's going to be, it's tapping back into the spirit of innovation that Walt Disney originally wanted with Epcot. So, but there's also a Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. So what can you do?
I think Disney should make a film that's got like all the classic Disney characters in it. I think that's what they should do.
Like what? Like what?
What do you mean, like a film, a movie? They should take
with Mickey and Goofy,
Donald Duck, Goofy, all those characters. They should do that with the modern writers, modern sensibility. They should do that movie, and they should.
and then watch them flop, and they'll disappear.
They won't flop. I wouldn't say they flop. They should bring back those characters are no less known than anything that comes out from Pixar now. Have Pixar do it. But I think to keep that brand alive, they need to reinvigorate those characters with the modern audience.
Well, they have. Well, it's funny that you say that though, because there is a modern audience that has been reinvigorated with those characters. It's just not you, Connor. If you look at the Mickey Mouse cartoons that have been going on for the past, I want to say 10 years or so, they have a new design, like a design look for Mickey, and it's been playing on the Disney Channel. And there's a whole generation that's grown up with it, and now they're opening a ride in Hollywood Studios and in Disneyland that plays into that look, and it's ushering the next generation. But Mickey and Donald and everybody isn't for us; it's for the kids. So, like that's who they're focused on. Yeah. So
it all comes out of the movies, though. I think there should be a movie. Josh, did you want to talk to Ron about Cyclops?
Yeah, we could do that a little. I did have a question. Like, so I'm reading House of X, and I was trying to figure out what they did with Cyclops, and unfortunately, they took that dumb thing off his head and they put his visor back on. I was like, good, and then right behind him is the thing on Professor X's head, which is much worse. So I was like, oh, it's zero-sum game.
What's funny is that Hickman likes big dumb things on people's heads. Do you remember his Ultimate Reed Richards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same helmet.
Yeah. Same helmet. Yeah.
And there's a bit where Cyclops, we talked about this on the show, but Cyclops went radical. And I get that. I actually think that tracks. I don't know that it's fun, but I get it. Like he's, the Magneto way most of the way. But he sort of pulled back a little, and he sees his superhero friends in the one scene where he's like, no, you keep him, and, I'll take off. And we were buddies when he sees the Fantastic Four. Who's the villain? Sabretooth? Yes.
Yeah.
And then he's talking, he's with Professor X and Magneto, and he's basically like, whatever you need, I'm a soldier. And it's like, what do you think about his placement now? Like, are you happy with that character? Or are you just resigned to it? Or
no?
Like,
well, I mean,
like Cyclops to you, because it doesn't to me.
It feels more like Cyclops than the most recent characterization of him was. Sure. The Cyclops that I fell in love with. The Cyclops that I The Cyclops that I was a fan of was the field leader. Was Xavier was in the mansion and talking to them, and he was out there. And
Duke,
Xavier,
I was gonna say,
yeah, no, it's Flint and Duke. I mean, like it's that sort of relationship. And Cyclops is the leader in the field, but he's at his best when he's following Xavier's dream and kind of has that kind of relationship. And I actually see that as more of it. I can't say more because it ties into stuff that I know that's happening in the future issues, which I don't want to reveal. But keep reading.
Do you think like Moira Taggart, you're walking around with too much in your head,
right?
Have you been? I mean, we've been mostly enjoying. We like House. No, yes, we like House of X. But we don't like.
Here's my
so much.
So how far are you caught up on Powers of 10?
Well, whatever's up to
number
now.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was right. It came out last week and this week.
Yeah, it did. I don't know why they did that. But after reading the first issue of both House and Powers, I turned to somebody I work with and I'm like, wow, House of X is Hickman writing a really good Marvel comic. And Powers of 10 is Marvel publishing a really good Hickman comic.
What I said was...
He refuses to say Powers of 10, by the way.
What I said is that House of X is everything I like about Jonathan Hickman, and Powers of 10 is everything I don't like about him.
That's fair. It's fair.
And which is another way of saying what you said.
Yeah, and I thought the first issue of Powers of 10 was very hard to read, and in that Hickman kind of way. But I was been glad to see that most recent issues have come back a little more to center.
I have no idea what it's about, and like it, because it's the main issue. The main story is if you haven't listened to the show yet, this is going to be the main thing is like, here's an X-Men story, and I'm like, great. Powers of 10 is here's everything that happened before it and everything that happens after for 10,000 years, and I was like, I don't want any of this. I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
just tell me the story.
Stay with it. It's only 6 issues. It'll pay off.
I have not quit because I like the other book, and I figure it will.
I'm really, and I don't want to dominate on Marvel talk, and so if you guys want to talk about other publishers, we can. But
no, you want to talk about this the whole.
I'm changing the subject, but so stick with House and Powers. But I have Marvel Comics 1000 on my desk, and I'm really curious to hear what you guys think of that.
How long is it?
80 pages.
Fucking.
Yeah, 80 years.
Anniversary issues, man.
It's clever. And
okay. Again, not going to have you call your company out, but is this bullshit numbering just because? Whoa, you got to focus. Just because DC's doing it, or there's a real numbering behind this?
No, it's literally the 80th anniversary is August 31st, and so it's creative counting. What I was told by publishing was that assuming Marvel Comics as a comic book published from issue 1 in August 31st, 1939 to today, and assuming it followed the same biweekly publishing that happened periodically from the 80s to now, it's conceivable that we would be at 1,000 right now.
There's a lot of leaps there.
But the thing is, that's not untrue or unfair. If you look at it, when we first got into Comics Connor, I remember in like 89 or 90 getting a comic and seeing the date be early March or late April, and so
double shipping is not new in any way, shape, or form. The amount of double shipping is not.
Yeah.
But if you want to say this is the 1,000th Marvel comic to come out, sure.
But I believe the immortal words of iFanboy said it best. Nothing makes sense. Nothing matters. Who cares? It's 80 years is legit. That's legit. And so,
all right. So we got 6 minutes. Let's see any questions here.
Yeah, let's ask some questions.
So Josh didn't finish the Stevenson book.
No, that's going to be a thing. You'll probably hear that conversation.
I've got less than 200 pages to go.
Oh, you haven't finished it either.
I haven't finished it either. I'm reading on my tablet in the Kindle app, and at the bottom, sometimes it tells you how many pages are left, how much percentage is left, but sometimes it tells you how many minutes are left in the chapter. And I just started a chapter that said 40 minutes left in this chapter, and I was like, oh, for Christ's sake!
In the last bit, all the chapters are like 40 pages long, which is really annoying. I'm currently reading that Johnny Carson book, Josh, that you talked about on the year-end show a couple of years ago. It's fascinating. It's
so good, and it's just like,
and it's you fly through it, but man, it is fascinating. Who knew Johnny Carson was armed the whole time? Let's see what else we
Yeah,
got
and
here.
he's like, it's like full on insider. You're like, oh, this isn't even bullshit. It's
I got to the point. I'm at the point now where he is going to walk from his contract in 1979 from NBC.
and they're
He
good.
just had they just had the arbitrator meeting where the arbitrator was like, "No, you can't hold him to this contract. He's a free agent."
Like on that boat, like they're in Italy or something. I forget. Wimbledon.
He's always going to Wimbledon. Yeah, that's what his thing. Let's see. We talked about X-Men. Is there a Kingdom Hearts movie? I don't know what that means.
It's a Disney game. No, there's not a Kingdom Hearts movie.
Undercover Headscarf Network stuff and Superman. You're one number 2.
I noticed that, and I thought for a moment, oh, you're doing terrorists. But also, I thought the people hijacking a boat like that would be Somali pirates or something like that, and that's probably what they looked like. So I said it's fine. I had the same thought for a second, but
we have not watched She-Ra. I'm going to assume for the 3 of you.
I have not. No.
There's too many shows. You know.
Do you guys know us? Like, I assume you watch the show. You guys watch She-Ra? You've listened to the show. We put out an hour every week. Does that seem like a thing we're gonna do?
I mean, I would think about watching He-Man, but I still never watched Voltron. I don't have time for any of these shows.
And that's not going to be your priority.
Oh, I would love to watch Mindhunter, right?
I just finished the first season. And I watched
the first season, but I haven't watched season 2. I don't have time for season 2.
I've not heard great, but basically I knew the first 3 episodes were David Fincher.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Zodiac to it. And I thought, well, if there's 3 hours of David Fincher, I need to watch what I need to do to get to that.
I watched the Great Hack documentary on Netflix. The one about Cambridge Analytica. It was stupid.
Well, I watched the HBO movie about Brexit. I feel like I got enough about that in that movie.
I watched Euphoria, and I feel like a pervert.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, totally.
What are we watching?
Like, it's good, but it's not for me. I don't get it. I'm like, drugs are terrible.
Ron, you need to watch. Why am I blanking on the name of the show?
You need to watch Fargo season 3.
No.
It's been 2 years.
We talked about this. The one on HBO that's the Fox. That's basically Murdoch's.
Oh, Succession. Yeah, I know. It's on my list. I know.
Very good.
Do I need to watch that?
Sure.
It's good, but I don't know if you would like it as much.
Why would you like it, not me?
Because it's very businessy. It's very about the intricacies of businesses.
Okay.
There you go.
It's very good, though.
Stay in your lane, Flanagan. Stay in your lane.
What's my lane?
I don't know. Not business.
Have you watched From the Earth to the Moon yet?
Me?
Yes.
I watched the first one.
Isn't that like 20 years old?
Just came back in HD because of the moon landing. It's the best.
What is that in French? Because they say it in French all the time. Yeah. So
the last episode is that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's not good. Don't watch the last episode. You know what? Watch it. I'm reading the Right Stuff, the audiobook of the Right Stuff, and I
love that book.
It's
one of my favorite books.
Good.
One of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
I'm reading on the subway. It's about this thick, and holding it while I was holding the.
It's
bowl.
Beautiful, but I'm listening to the audiobooks. It's read by Dennis Quaid.
Ooh.
And, like, he sounds super. His voice is exactly right. He sounds super grizzled, but there's lots of parts where he says stuff wrong, and they just didn't deal with it. Like, very specifically, at one point he says, and subsequently, but instead he said subsequently, and like, let that go. Like, you'll hear him fuck up constantly, and the sure thing, Mr. Quaid, good job. But he's a great reader for it. And then I started thinking about, like, what are the economics of hiring somebody to do a book like this? Like,
it's not a little bit of time.
No, exactly. It's not like going in to shoot like a voiceover ad.
Especially that book, which is like this thick.
Yeah, he's in there for weeks. So they either have to want to do it, or they pay them a lot, but there's no way that's going to recoup.
I mean, it is easy in terms of the actual.
Yeah, but
you can do it in your pajamas kind of thing. If maybe you really like the book.
I don't know, just one of those things. But Ron, it's great. It's good audio.
Name one good punk or hardcore band right now.
I wish you had asked this question earlier because I'm pulling up my music app and it's taking forever to load, and we're running out of time.
Like one ever?
No, one
new.
Right now.
New.
One. Oh.
Black Flag.
Ron, what's the best Black Flag song?
Well, I mean, that's hard.
It's hard. I know.
I know. Oh, dude. I'm sorry. Backing up. There's a band called Adult Magic, which put out a new record.
I downloaded that, but I haven't listened to it.
It's really good. So, Mark, check that out. Adult Magic, very good.
Hey, has everyone here seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I have not. I'm in movie jail. I'm waiting for it to stream. So
you gotta.
Sorry, I know. I want to see. I know. Don't air suck. Don't be that guy. Yeah.
I know it's not that, but it's us, and it's.
I know. Alano's showing it in 70. I know.
Yeah, like that's the one thing. Like I won't miss one of those in the theater if I can.
Yeah. Maybe next weekend. We'll see.
I never have. You should just take the morning off one day and don't tell anyone.
Yeah, take a half day. Don't tell your wife.
Good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah, it's a very good idea.
It's
that would be the greatest morning ever. Like, oh, this is so good.
It has sparked the most interesting and long conversations I've had about in the last couple of
weeks. I know. I got to see it.
Over the map.
Yeah.
I want to have that conversation with you.
All right. 10 o'clock.
You're going to come for beers with me and Mike and Hank.
Oh, jeez. Right. You won't get anything. You won't get a word in edgewise if Hank is there.
He gets really excited. Yeah. All right. So that's our August hangout. Thanks for putting up with our false start last week and coming back. We have a new thing here.
It's much better.
I'll make myself big and the two guys tiny. I'll do this.
If you're gonna change the shot, I need to sit up.
So he's gonna get rid of everyone else. So I'm gonna get rid of the topic. So there we go. So we'll be back in September, but probably before that, Josh and I will be back doing the 700th episode live like this with Ryan Haupt. So we'll announce that date hopefully next week, and then we'll do it like this, and we'll have fun. And thanks for asking questions and coming and watching. And good night.